You're now tuned in to Competitive Edge. All right, guys, welcome back to another podcast. It's been a minute. This one's a little bit of a different theme. We're here talking about athletics and sports today. We got a cool guest. This is Gabe, Flynn. We're going to dive into his story a little bit and about how he got where he's at. And I got a whole list of cool questions that I'm going to ask him. And I think this is going to be very valuable for any young aspiring athlete. So with that said, I don't want to waste any more time. I want to jump right into it. So welcome. How's it going?
It's going pretty well. As good can be, I guess. Excited to be on the podcast. My first ever official interview. So
let's go.
It's quite exciting.
Let's go, yeah. Good stuff. Camera makes magic, so I'm sure we're going to get some cool questions today.
Oh, yeah.
So for anybody that doesn't know, let's pretend we're speaking to like a younger audience too. That's the whole goal with this is, younger gymnasts in your case. So every answer you can kind of tailor it towards that if you wish.
Okay.
So for anybody that doesn't know who's watching you, who's a young athlete, a young gymnast, who doesn't know who Gabe Flynn is, let's kind of paint the picture of who you are in your current state, like right now. So like day to day, who's Gabe Flynn?
My day-to-day life, pretty simple. Wake up, 6 o'clock, get ready for the day, normally head off to school or do my physio. Right after school, I head right to the gym, good 4 or 5 hours at least. Head home, do my pre-recovery stuff, go to sleep, and then that's it just repeats day to day.
For sure. So you get up, you do your morning routine, and you head to school first, you said?
Most times, yeah.
Yeah, so what are you doing in school?
Right now I'm studying kinesiology, second year. Hopes to becoming a physiotherapist of some sorts.
Sweet.
Yeah.
In the fitness health realm, of course?
Of course, yeah. Definitely.
Good stuff. How old are you right now?
19.
19. You act a lot older than your age, that's for sure. Very
I've
mature.
been told that more than once.
Very mature. And you, for anybody who doesn't know, you said you come to the gym. We're actually in the gym right now. We're in the conference room at Cygnus Gymnastics. So I want to just give anybody who doesn't know what you said by gym, what you do in the gym for 4 or 5 hours.
So I'm a artistic men's gymnast, national open level, hopes to go senior eventually. And like me and Evan just said, I spend 4 or 5 hours almost daily in the gym, most of that being injury prevention.
True.
Yeah,
we'll dive into why we're talking about injury prevention in a bit, because you got quite the story, and I've been unfolding it over the last few weeks, which is great. And then you do one more thing. So you're a student, almost full-time. You're full-time training in the gym as a gymnast, and you also do what?
I'm also a C1 certified and Comp 2 coach for our littlest level 1 boys here at Cygnus Gymnastics, which I do on my days off.
You get days off?
1 day off. Which is honestly pretty exciting. Other than the goals I have for gymnastics, got a couple goals for coaching as well.
Totally.
So, yeah.
Yeah, that's good stuff. So I remember when you were a little kid out in Corner Brook, and the first time I seen you, you were like so into gymnastics. And fast forward a few years, I've been away from your training for a few years now, and then I recently came back and got involved with you again. And one of the first quotes you said to me about how gymnastics is like life. Do you remember that? What you said the other day?
I think it was Eat, Sleep, Live Gymnastics, I think.
Yeah. And then I was like, interesting. A lot of people say that in their sport, but then I started asking you questions of like, okay, what do you do outside of the gym? Because I knew you were here 20 hours a week, and you're like, I'm going to school to learn kinesiology and be a physical therapist, and then I'm coaching on my off day. So literally your entire life is based around...
It's based around fitness.
Yeah. I think that's beautiful, and that's why your story is so great. So diving into the rest of your story, keep myself on track here. What would you say your current proudest moment is up to this point in your gymnastics career? Not as a coach yet, or in your schooling or in your career that wise, but as a gymnast up to this point as a national open level. Do you have a proudest point?
I I do, actually.
Okay.
And it was during the 2023 Canadian Winter Games.
2023. Okay.
Where I was awarded the True Sport Award for All Canada.
And what's the True Sport Award for anybody that doesn't know?
It's just showing, like, stuff you do outside the gym to help the community, other athletes, the way you act in the gym, the way you act competition.
Right.
Like, it's not like you focus on yourself.
Right.
It's not what you should also be out there to support the others, like support the community, whether it's even in another sport or someone that's not even doing competitive, just doing recreational and just struggling. Like, you should be supporting everyone.
Totally. I could see you getting that award. You're so selfless in the gym, like when you're coaching too. That makes sense. So that was your proudest moment? You want to dive into that a little more when you received that?
Yeah, that was definitely my proudest moment, mainly because I never knew it was an award. I think it was only introduced the last couple games.
Right.
So this was like only the second or third time.
Right.
And plus, I never knew they submitted like stuff about me to the committee.
So it was all a surprise, really.
It was a big surprise.
Cool.
But apparently, my coach at the time, Jill Hood, asked my parents all these kinds of questions about what I would do outside the gym, to support the community or help out.
Right.
And once she got everything filled out, she sent it in, and then a committee voted on it. And
cool.
We at the games, we went downtown PEI to this just random facility. There's a couple like little pop-up restaurants or like gift shops or whatnot, but then there was a big stage at the end.
Okay.
And at first there was a lot of like kids running around. There must have been like a daycare or something on the go at first. And then they started setting up, getting the banners out and everything, and then like these big like press people came out.
So you weren't expecting anything?
No, I wasn't expecting
this is like
anything.
Out of the blue. Okay.
And then
so where was this? Downtown, like in the street?
Yeah.
Really?
This was in a building downtown.
In a building. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. And then had banners up, and then there's kind of a stage there, and there's pop-up shops, and there's.
When they started talking, we just kind of gathered in a semicircle. Not realizing at the time, looking back at the photos, it was quite obvious.
You had no idea.
They almost like gathered around in a circle around me, which I never even realized at the moment.
Strange.
And it was like the last like couple sentences they were saying, I was like, wow, this certainly sounds like me almost. And I was like, what are the chances? Because there was a good like couple hundred of us in the building. I'm
wow,
like,
that's a lot of people actually.
And when they just called my name, I was like completely shocked. That I just walked up behind stage, got up on stage.
Did you say your speech?
Shook the man's hand, took photos. Oh, it was like exhilarating. It happened so fast.
I bet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that being emotional. Out of nowhere too. It's funny how the surprising moments get us like the most memories, right? And just going back to that, as a athlete, do you have like just a quick story before we move on to the rest of these questions? Do you have a proudest moment as an athlete as well? Like, that's an overall encompassing award and proudest moment. I can see why that was exciting for you. But do you have like a proudest moment as an athlete? Maybe it's a competition or a skill or.
Proudest moment. I probably wouldn't even like say a competition at this point.
Okay. Interesting.
Just to me, I feel like my best has not yet been shown.
Oh, love that. Let's go.
So I feel like I'm just waiting for that moment to happen in a competition.
Okay.
But
like that.
My proudest moments are probably the skills that I've either done or competed in our province or outside our province, being the first gymnast to compete that skill. Because Newfoundland's a pretty small province, or Newfoundland and Labrador in general is a small province, and
you're the leading edge of it at this point.
And all the bigger provinces like Ontario, Quebec, they got so many gymnasts, so many good coaches, so many good athletes.
The resources.
And, like, doing the big skills, that's almost like a norm.
For them,
Totally. You never see big skills, like Kotcheff or whatnot, being competed in here. So just being someone, being able to show, like, the little kids that, like, you don't have to be from, like, a big province or a well-known gym or coached by an Olympic coach to be able to do these skills.
Dude, preach. That's so true. And a lot of kids aspire to be like you now from Newfoundland. Like, you are the leading edge, as I said, and that's a beautiful place. That's a proud moment on its own every day to be that in that place, right? So, totally appreciate you sharing that. That's so true. And for anybody who's watching, listen to what he just said. Play that back. It's so true. You could be the leading edge in your community as well. So let's get to how we got here, being, the inspiration for a lot of kids in our gym and in Newfoundland in general. How did you get involved with gymnastics? I actually don't know this, so I'm curious to know. How did you get started?
I've asked that question to myself.
Okay.
It was quite late starter.
Really? How old are you?
I started recreation when I was 10.
In rec?
Yeah.
Get out.
Yeah. My dad put me in it because he seen the benefits of when he trained as a gymnast.
Okay, so your dad was a gymnast as well. Cool.
Yep.
Cool.
Not knowing how far I would ever go with it, he just put me in to get coordination.
Totally.
And whatnot. And I wasn't a big fan of really any other sports like hockey or soccer.
Right. So you just fell in line with gymnastics.
Yeah. And then one of the coaches back home in Labrador City, if you don't know, I'm not from St. John's.
Right, we should have covered that in the story.
I'm from Labrador City, a small town in Labrador on the border of Quebec.
Which is even smaller than here.
It's much smaller than here. And my club was called Snowbirds, and the comp coach approached my parents about putting me in the comp program or trying out for the comp program. I tried out, I made it, and
that's where it started.
It's just kind of all flowed from there.
Cool. Humble beginnings.
Yeah.
Humble beginnings. When did you fall in love with the sport? Do you remember like a time where it was like, oh man, this is like really cool. This is like my thing.
There's definitely a couple moments. There's also a couple moments when I first joined competitive that I wanted to quit.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just because
the structure and like the intensity?
No, not even that. It was this like too slow of a pace for me.
Really?
Yeah. When I was younger, I was kind of there to learn the cool stuff.
Every kid.
Yeah, and like every kid,
young boy.
Like the flips.
Totally.
And I told my parents that like none of my other friends did it. I want to be more like them. And it's like, just wait it out, they said. Give it another year or so. So that's what I did. I listened to them for once in my life. Stuck it out, and
so I want to like dive into how you got here as well, but that's how you kind of got started. There was ups and downs getting started on the early days.
Yeah, that's how it kind of kept going, but it wasn't until 2019.
Okay, we're skipping a lot there, aren't we?
Yeah.
So on your way to 2019, I want to like unpack this for anybody listening and myself, just in our journey. Can you think of any like memories that you had that were like very big events that changed your path in gymnastics, or at least like shaped you? Is there any like major events, like joining a comp program, getting asked to sign up? That's a big event that got you here today. If you didn't get asked, you'd never be here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Your dad signing you up, big event. That's how it all started. So is there any more like big events like that, moments that happened to get you here? Between then and 2019, what you're about to talk about?
I guess there was a couple. Like I remember like vivid moments of learning my first round up back handspring.
Okay.
Or getting my like first circle on pommels.
So the first day getting these skills.
And like those were kind of like little sparks that, like, I guess kept me going.
Totally.
But I was also a pretty dumb athlete, I would consider myself. Like, I never knew where you could go with gymnastics.
Right, you didn't have perspective.
I was from a small town, and like here, I was one of the better gymnasts from my point of view. I never focused too much on the Olympics, Worlds, or big competitions. I never knew what the Canada Games were.
It was just probably day to day back then.
Yeah, it was just day to day. I did it because I found it was fun.
Right. And that's a key point, is everything when you're at that age gotta be fun, or like as a kid you're searching for fun, you're searching for that like enjoyment. So yeah, that's a big part of keeping people in any sport, gymnastics included.
Yeah. When I was, I think, 11, I had my first competition.
Right.
It was out here, Dream Big at Campia.
So you flew out.
Yeah.
For your first big comp.
And I remember telling my parents that, like, and I said, I can't do this. There's too many people looking at me.
Right.
And
because now you're a showcase. Like, you're put on the spot.
I was almost stage fright.
Right. And it's not like any other sport where you're there with your team. Like, you're put on the stage by yourself as a gymnast.
Yeah.
Like, it's you versus the judges, and everybody's watching. Like, that's a different sport than hockey.
It was quite nerve-wracking.
I bet. And you probably weren't prepared. You just showed up. Right.
Exactly, yeah.
Right.
But I came in a couple of days prior, and I trained at Cygnus here. Because back home, we never had the rings. We never had the high bar.
Right.
And we never had, like, a full floor set up.
So you didn't have access to all the equipment either.
Yeah, I didn't have access to all the equipment. So came in a few days prior to practice on the equipment we didn't have. And
just trying to get your routines in.
Just trying to get some routines or learn some of the routines. Ended up competing for the 6 events. I think I scratched bars and pommels possibly. I can't quite remember.
That was your first big event. So I could see that being a turning point. Did you take that as like a good thing or a bad thing at the time? Like, some kids, when they show up to competition, they get so nervous and so overwhelmed that it's like, I don't ever want to do that again. Or were you kind of like, oh, that was fun, like I could get through that, I can do that again?
I definitely, after the first event, it got more fun. Like,
right, it relaxed a little bit.
It's almost like right now, after the first event, the stress kind of like eases off, and you just kind of like start to enjoy it.
Get into a flow.
Yeah, get into a flow of doing routines and talking to other people.
So is there any more events like that? Like, obviously your first skills, when you get them in the gym, they're so exciting, and that, propels us forward, motivates us to keep going. Your first competition.
Yeah.
Is there any like big events like that? Any coaches or anybody that?
After my first competition, when I went back home, I broke my hand.
Really?
I broke my hand in 3 spots. And
how did that happen?
Doing a handstand on P-bars, believe it or not.
Okay.
Yeah, and
so you were 11? You broke your hand?
Yeah, I was 11.
First injury.
First ever injury in gymnastics, broke my hand.
Was it your last? No.
No.
We know that.
Definitely not my last. Yeah.
So that's another event, your first setback.
It was my first setback. I don't remember quite what I did after that, but all I know is I still enjoyed doing gymnastics, and as soon as I could, I got right back into the groove of things. Right. Got my routines down pat. I think the summer before next comp season, I came back out here and trained more. Got some.
So you're getting more exposure in the bigger city.
Getting more exposure.
Yeah.
Getting more exposure to the equipment.
Did you
routines.
Love that, getting out here?
I did. I found it quite nerve-wracking once again, just not knowing too many people. But after a couple of days, it was just like home.
It's a very warming community, the men's group, so that's
compared to the women's, definitely.
Yeah. We won't go there. Be careful.
Then after that summer, went back home, trained. Then next comp season came.
Right.
I remember coming right back out here, and I told my mom, all I want to do is win a medal.
Okay. This
was my second competition. I wanted to get a gold medal, and I wanted to see a trophy. I wanted to hold a trophy in my hand. And
awesome. So that was the goal.
That was the goal.
Did you know how to do it? Did you like connect the dots that you needed clean routines and you needed to?
Like I said, I was a pretty dumb athlete.
Yeah.
No, I did not know how to do it.
I want to win, but I don't know how to do
it. I just performed what I trained.
Right.
And
right.
All I remember, right before they announced the all-around winner, I had more silvers than golds.
Okay.
And I was like, at that point, I was like, no way I'm getting the trophy.
Right. Because you didn't know how all-around works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they call up all-around, and I ended up getting the trophy.
For anybody who doesn't know what an all-around is, it's you add up your 6 events, and whoever has the highest score out of the 6 wins. So Gabe didn't think he was going to win because he had just 6 silvers or whatever.
Yeah.
He didn't win any golds in the individual events, but then the total score was higher than anybody else's, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly.
How did you feel at that point?
Ecstatic. I was.
So you won the trophy.
I won the trophy. I accomplished my goal.
And that's coming from a broken hand as well, just months before.
Yeah,
that's
like
awesome.
6 or so months before.
You must have been hooked after that.
I was like the feeling you got, just the feeling of like accomplishment. There's almost like no words to explain it. And we'll get into more stories about that later on.
Hopefully, if we have time. If not, we can do another episode.
But after that, it just my desire to keep training, keep competing, just like kept going up, amplified.
Yeah.
Later on that year, got to go to provincials.
Cool. Big competition for you at that point. Biggest one.
Biggest one at that point. Was the only one to qualify to go to the Atlantic Championships.
So you made the Team NL.
Made Team
Newfoundland
NL.
Labrador team. Yeah, which is the provincial team. That's exciting. Another step.
Yeah, and also being the first one from Labrador as a gymnast to go into that competition.
Leading edge once again. Good stuff.
Yeah, and going out there, it was a big eye opener.
You see a lot of gymnastics.
I've seen a lot of gymnastics, and not just a lot of it. I've seen a lot of better gymnastics.
Because you see levels way above you too at Atlantics.
And that got me more nervous, but also more excited to get back into the gym. Because at that point, I knew what I had to do to be better.
And you've seen like somewhere where you can get now. There's like, there's more to this. Like, right? I can see your perspective growing as you like take off these events, like as you keep going to an invitational and then a provincials and an Atlantic. Like your perspective just kept growing as you left Labrador and came to St. John's, and your perspective of the sport just kept like expanding. Almost.
Exactly. And after Atlantics, that was the last competition of the season for me. And then the year almost just repeated. I came back out here in the summer.
Yep.
I trained at Cygnus.
Yep, upgrades.
And then I went back home and practiced the skills and routines I learned. I actually went to level 3 in 2019.
Nice. So that was a big change going from level 1 and 2 back in the old levels to 3. What's the difference in level 3 and 1?
Level 3, you actually got to design your own routines.
Yep.
To a certain extent.
So it's not compulsory anymore.
It wasn't compulsory, which was quite exciting going from being level 2 in 2018 to level 3 in 2019. And that was another really good year for me.
So this is your first year level 3?
First year level 3. I was the only under 13 age category. And back then, because I was the only one, they put me up with the over 13 age category.
They combined them.
And
again, opening your perspective, now training with athletes that are bigger than you.
Yeah,
You're
exactly.
seeing your skill level is pretty close to them. That's kind of motivating.
Yeah. Skipping forward to provincials.
This was level 3 year?
This is level 3 year, yep. I came out on top. Got to go again to Atlantics. And I was much more prepared for that Atlantics.
Right, you've been there.
And this year, my coach from home, Garrett, actually got to come with me to those Atlantics, which was fantastic because he wasn't able to go the year before.
He probably wasn't prepared to go either.
Right? No one's ever went to Atlantics from back home.
So your second Atlantics, you were there. You're like, okay, new level. I get this environment now.
Exactly. And honestly, I don't think I disappointed anyone. I walked away with a couple medals.
At Atlantics, huge.
Which was a much better result than the year before, walking away with nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously it showed me that my training paid off.
Motivating again.
Yeah.
End of the year.
Exactly.
Wicked. So every year seems like it's just been a stepping stone for you, which is very healthy as an athlete. Like every year kind of like grew a little bit.
It was also the year of Canada Games in 2019.
Now a bigger perspective.
It was, and being out here the last couple summers before 2019, I knew some of the guys. I knew what they were kind of training for.
Right.
And I watched them live on YouTube competing at the Canada Games. Learned that it happened every 4 years, and
new goal.
It was a new goal.
Sweet.
I was like, in 4 years, I'm going to be competing.
I want a medal. I want a trophy at Canada Games.
I want to be competing at that games.
Wicked. Again, perspective grew. You've seen what was possible again. Bigger perspective.
Once I seen that happen, I was almost hooked.
Right.
But getting back into competition season after Atlantics, got to go to my first Easterns.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like the Atlantics before. Got to see even more. I got more province participated. Got to see more gymnasts, better gymnasts.
Bigger
and
skills.
Left with a couple ribbons, but overall wasn't too pleased. I knew I could do better.
But you left with more knowledge, more perspective.
Exactly.
And a goal for next year.
I knew what I had to do to get better.
So it seems like all these competitions for you are really stepping stones. You know? Everyone kind of sent you into the next year with a new motivation, with a new goal, with a new drive.
Every single one had a goal. Every single one had failure. Every single one had opportunity to learn.
Well said. Which is good.
Yeah,
it's a good combination.
Towards the end of 2019, we moved out here.
Right.
New school, new club.
Was it for gymnastics? What made the move? Was it work?
Yeah, it was completely gymnastics.
So your family literally brought you here for your sport?
Yeah, my...
Are you only child? I don't think I asked you that.
Yes and
okay,
no.
We don't have to get into that then. That's fine. So you moved out here for gymnastics?
Yeah, moved out here specifically for gymnastics, but still to keep up with my school. So...
of course.
New environment there.
But now you're at a bigger gym. You got more resources. You got different coaches. They're bringing camps in here all the time, different coaching, PD days, and all kinds of different things. So you're getting more exposure in a big city like this, right? Did that amplify your growth?
It did. I got to train with kids older than me.
Right.
Kids at a higher level than me. And it made me want to get up to them or surpass them.
For sure.
Got to level 4 that year. As 2020 came, I went to my first invitational meet that involved multiple provinces with the PEI. So I think Ontario, all Atlantic provinces were involved, and Ontario was there.
Right.
I came 3rd all around. And at
what level is this again?
This is level 4.
Level 4, right.
And at that time, looking back, just remembering the moment, I was pretty disappointed in myself. I don't know why. But I was.
You wanted more.
Because I wanted more. I fell a couple times during that competition.
How old are you at this point? This was 2020. What did you say?
This is 2020. The beginning of 2020.
Okay.
I was 14.
Right.
Yeah.
So you're at that teen age where it's like you have the competitive bone just thriving now.
Yeah. I fell a couple times during that competition. And I knew I could have done better. But now just looking back at the photos in that moment, it was like, wow, I came 3rd out of half the country basically.
Yeah.
And my coach was really excited for me.
Of course.
Because I tied with one of the Toronto coaches' athletes.
There you go.
And that coach was actually one of Team Canada's coaches,
right?
For the Olympic team.
Wow, congrats!
That's awesome. she was quite pleased with my performance. I didn't see it at the time.
Failure tends to blind you sometimes.
After that, COVID hit.
Right.
Shut down.
That was an interesting time for all sports.
Yeah. So when that happened, I moved back home. Until the gym reopened here.
And that was
But honestly, people mentioned a whole bunch of like depression, like just like lazing around, stuff like that. I was almost more motivated. Like, I seen this as an opportunity to better myself, more so in my flexibility and my strength, weaknesses I had.
So you're at home doing these exercises and drills
I was in my basement hours upon hours, just working out, stretching.
You looked at this as an opportunity.
Yeah, I looked at it as an opportunity. I gained so much from COVID.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
And it was also the time I discovered other gymnasts.
You're doing research.
Yeah, I did some research. And not just in Canada. Like, a gymnast from Great Britain, like Niall Wilson, or a gymnast from the States, like Donnell Wittenberg.
Yeah. Train smart, keep it real.
Yeah, exactly.
Those guys are hilarious.
I seen what they could do, and I was like, wow. I'm going to be able to do that one day. That's what I told myself. And then I just went back into my basement and started conditioning.
Right. Motivating. More perspective.
I came back here being able to do like strength skills I probably would never have gotten. My flexibility increased like tenfold. Wicked. And once the gym reopened, me and my coach started training for level 5.
So every one of these levels that anybody don't know, you normally add on one more element per event. So level 4 would be, say, 6 or 7 elements, and level 5 would be
and the
7, 8.
Skills normally become more difficult.
Right, to get your element groups and stuff. But we don't need to break that down now. That's fine. We can do that in another video. so we're training level 5 now.
Yeah, we're training level 5. I can't remember when the gym reopened. It was sometime. I think it was in 2021 sometime.
Right.
But then I think COVID hit again after a couple months.
Had a second little stint.
Yeah, and we went back home and kind of just repeated the same process. Once the gym reopened, found out that I could go to nationals virtually in the fall of 2021.
From your gym at Snowbirds?
Yeah, no, from the gym here. Yeah,
cool.
Came back out here.
Cool.
And so instead of training level 5, we focused our eyes on National Open. Got to that point and competed at my first nationals virtually, but it was still quite nerve-wracking and exciting at the same time.
Different atmosphere though, right?
Yeah. And unlike my past competitions like Atlantics and Easterns where I didn't really walk away with anything, nor did I actually at this nationals, but I walked away with a 4th, a 5th, and an 8th all around, and I was quite proud with myself.
First nationals.
Yeah, first nationals.
Pretty young to be in nationals at that point.
Yeah,
too,
I was. Right? I think I was the youngest. I was 16 at the time.
So that's great.
Maybe no, I was 15 actually because it was right before my birthday. So I knew I was up there with some of the better people in the country.
8th all around.
Yeah.
Let's go.
And then I set my eyes on 2022 nationals. Kept the same routines, practiced, and
cleaned them up. Any upgrades?
No upgrades, just kept them the same.
Them up.
Most apparatus were quite high in difficulty anyways. Unfortunately, that nationals in 2022 didn't go as planned.
Okay.
I had a couple.
But this one was in person, right?
Yeah, this was in person, and the stadium was huge.
Huge. Big showcase.
Yeah.
And they air that live too, right? Like they're putting this on YouTube and on TV, and there's a lot of people tuning
It was streamed on
Bell, is it, or something like that?
Yeah, I think it was.
But anyway, the point is, there's a lot of viewership now. You have a lot of eyes back from that first competition in your level 1, where you're like, oh my god, I don't know if I could do this. There's a lot of people looking at me.
Exactly.
And now you're standing at nationals, being like, oh wow, there's a lot of eyes on me.
No, it was a big competition compared to any competition I went to previously. But like I said before, I made a couple mistakes. But then there was also a couple highlights. Like I got to compete the first double back off P bars.
Nice.
I got to compete some new first ever skills on rings, like Giannis and Yamawaki.
Was the pressure there, or were you excited to do it?
I was definitely more excited, but the nerves is always there.
Yeah.
I heard this quote, and I don't know word for word, but you got to use your nerves as energy for excitement instead of the opposite.
I couldn't agree more. more.
So,
yeah.
that definitely got me. I definitely use that quote a bit.
Yeah, because it's stimulation, right? Just going into that point, as a coach myself, a lot of athletes don't know how to decipher between being scared or excited for a skill.
Oh, yeah,
right?
that's so true.
And it's all the perspective that we put around it, the thoughts we put around it. I truly believe that there's one emotion, and that's stimulation. And when we're at competition, you can either look at that as a scary thing, like all the things that are going to go wrong just repeating in your head. Then you're scared, you're nervous.
Yeah.
Or you can look at, oh, this is going to be great. I'm going to do so well. All the great things that could happen around that stimulation you have, that adrenaline. And then you're excited. So
yeah.
I think our emotion comes from the thoughts that we put around the stimulation that we have. And we just market it as scared or nervous or excited, so.
And that was also the year I had quite a bit of injuries too.
Right. I was going to get into that now. I have so many questions for you. We're just trying to get through up to today. So is there anything you want to finish, like finishing off your story, getting up to where we are now?
Yeah, okay. After that season, it was basically full force on to Canada Games.
Right.
Like the next comp season was Canada Games. And holy cow, that best year, most exhilarating year of my life. You got to do
compete in Canada Games.
Yeah, we got to do so much. The team really came together. At least the ones that were trying out for the games. Trials went extremely well. It got to go to Las Vegas for a competition as our practice meet, which was like crazy, like competing at an international competition for a practice meet. And Canada Games was like everything you dreamed of, plus more. Like there's no words to explain it.
That's the biggest stage you've been on, I'd imagine.
Yeah. But then I went through this period after Canada Games where I didn't really know what I wanted to do with gymnastics. Did I want to continue? Did I want to focus on school?
Right, because you've hit this peak now. Canada Games is the biggest.
I did. The whole purpose of why I moved out here was to go to Canada Games.
Right.
And I hit that goal. I had nothing else really driving me.
Another 4 years for another Canada Games.
Yeah.
It's a long time.
And I was also aged out, so I couldn't even go to another Canada Games.
Couldn't even go again. So now you didn't have a goal. You kind of felt like this journey was over. It was empty. How old were you?
I was 17. No, 18.
18.
Yeah.
So it was last year.
No, yeah, 17.
17.
Yeah, 17.
Year and a half ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I did.
I
didn't know really where to go. I focused on a couple other things in my life. More so trying to get a social life. That kind of backfired.
Okay.
I was like, maybe I'm meant to be in a gym more.
I think we're going to dive into that one later, but that's funny. Maybe I'm meant to be in a gym. That's good.
And then, just like throughout the summer, I continued training, but just not as serious.
Okay. And
I didn't really like not knowing where I was going to go with the sport.
Right. You had no direction anymore.
So once
it must have been a weird time because your entire life was kind of built around gymnastics. You moved for it. You traveled for it. Like everything was kind of eat, sleep, live gymnastics, as you said.
Literally, yeah.
Yeah.
But I got to learn some new skills, like new skills that never been done in the province, and that kind of kept me going.
Right, it's exciting.
And I got to compete them at competitions and nationals in 2024.
Huge.
And that nationals was actually the Olympic qualifier for Team Canada, and that kind of sparked what else I wanted to do. Like, maybe I could have a shot at competing with the best of the best in the next 4 years.
Team Canada. So that's really the main focus right now. That's the new drive, is it?
That's the new drive. And whether or not I'll compete all around, or maybe it would just be a couple events, that's hard to determine at this point.
Totally.
Especially the way my body's going.
Yeah, the ups and downs.
But That's my new goal.
Okay.
But recently thinking, I think my ultimate goal was almost like prove my younger self wrong.
Okay. Let's dive into that. So recently you're trying to prove your younger self wrong. Meaning, in what aspect?
That it doesn't matter where you come from. There's a big, I guess, stereotype from like people from small towns can't compete with people from the big cities with cities. all the opportunities
and the
stuff.
Resources and the
I almost want to like maybe not just show me but show people back home that it doesn't really matter where you did come from. All that matters is like your determination, your motivation, your hard work. Like if you got the right mindset, you can basically do anything.
And you're living an example of it.
Mind over matter. Everything starts with the mind and the body will follow. So,
dude, well said. Well said. That's like if you were marketing yourself as an athlete and you had to put something on a shirt, that would be it. That would be your saying. Like, it doesn't matter where you come from, right?
Yeah. And if I were to stop now, I would almost be disappointed in myself. It'd almost be like OCD because you
came so far.
I came so far, and I know I have more left in me.
Totally.
I got more to show. I got more to learn, and I just haven't reached my limit yet.
Totally. And as a male gymnast, this is where you start to peak.
Yeah.
In these years, your 18, 19, 20th year, this is where males begin to peak, right?
Yeah,
females a little earlier, but yeah, you're right in your prime. I'm glad you see it that way. Yeah, it's exciting. It's exciting. And that was the next thing I was going to get into, the future for you, what your goals are. You already kind of explained that. But yeah, if you just wanted to go through it one more time, you're trying to do Canada, Team Canada. That's the main drive right now. You're trying to inspire.
That's the main goal. Got to hit that senior level coming next year. Got some big skills planned to learn over the summer. Big routines coming. So if everything comes together, lines up, it should work.
Man, you've had quite the story. Go ahead, sorry.
And I was gonna say that that's almost the best thing about having a plan. It never works out. It never works out. You have a timeline that's a straight line with markers on it, and when you're looking forward and you're reaching your goals, it's never a straight line. It's always a zigzag.
Yeah, or a setback.
Or a setback.
Yeah, totally.
There's always one step back for two steps forward.
Totally.
So what someone's timeline is like a year, it's probably going to be 2 years. So
it's true. So true. Yeah. And anybody who's out there going through something like that, this too shall pass. It's the journey isn't a straight line by any means. So that's good
not at all.
That's quite the journey, man. Appreciate you sharing that. I've never really heard that whole story myself either, so that was quite exciting.
I never really talked about that whole story.
Yeah,
ever.
Glad we got it out, man. That's a beautiful story, honestly. And just how your whole marketing perspective is now, it doesn't really matter where you come from, and you got a lot to prove for that too. So that's exciting for your future. And even when if your athletic career slows down a bit and you become a coach, you still got that drive in you, right, to do that.
I got more to prove to myself than I do anyone else around me.
Okay. So let's switch gears here now. That's beautiful. Before we make this too long. So that was kind of your story. I want to kind of get into some consolidating some lessons now.
Okay.
So what are 3 life lessons that you can kind of pinpoint that you could share to your younger self as a bricked up lesson that you've learned on your journey? Because that's a big journey. One of them is doesn't really matter where you come from, right? So you want to just speak on that?
It really doesn't matter where you come from. Another one would be hard work beats talent any day of the week.
Yeah, especially when talent don't work hard.
Especially when talent don't work hard, exactly. another life lesson.
Yeah,
Jeez.
does it come to you? Like on your journey, like were there setbacks where you're like, or using your time even, like when you're off for COVID and you had that extra time, you looked at that as an opportunity instead of, something that held you back. You kind of got better during that time. How would you like consolidate that into a lesson if you were talking to your younger self?
Probably like use your time wisely.
Okay.
Honestly. And that's honestly like probably one of the biggest struggles like I've had. Like, and probably like most people have. It's so hard to like procrastinate on other things, whether that's like staying in bed, scrolling, or just like sitting on the couch or whatnot.
Totally.
And like, I'm not gonna pretend like I'm a perfect human being. I still do that, and I still get frustrated at myself for doing that. But I am trying better to be better at or at least to reach my goals. So I know what I gotta do. Yep. It's just harder some days. Harder than other days, at least.
Yeah. It's like that image we shared in our group about consistency, how every day isn't a full cup, right? But it's showing up and getting it done.
Yeah.
And I'm sure as your journey goes on, you'll be able to consolidate more lessons down, but it's hard to, go through them and then share them. But if you could give your younger self any advice, if you were frustrated, if you were going through something difficult, or, if you had down days or anything, any advice that you could give your younger self, what would it be?
To slow down.
To slow down.
Yeah. To enjoy the process more. Like I said earlier, I started late. And once I learned more about gymnastics, more about other gymnasts around the world, they were doing so much more than what I was, and that almost made me, I guess, jealous is a word I could use, and I think I pushed myself, and it definitely helped me but it also like set me back, I think.
Because you were trying to rush it. You were trying to catch up.
I was trying to rush so much. I was trying to, catch up.
Right.
Doing the
skills. They say comparison is the thief of joy.
It is.
It's probably the thief of a lot of things, right?
It really is.
Yeah.
And even now, I still look at younger gymnasts that are doing bigger skills than me.
And it makes you feel weird.
And it almost makes me feel terrible. Like, why the hell can't I do that?
Comparison, yeah.
So yeah, if I were to say something to my younger self, it would be to slow down.
I love that.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing that. Everyone can kind of take that lesson, not just your younger self. Yeah, we all can get caught up in the day-to-day comparisons and wanting more. But yeah, enjoying the process, that's huge. So a few more questions here before we close this off and give you a rapid-fire game here. What are 3 healthy habits that you think anybody can kind of take from your journey? Because to be an elite level gymnast, there's a lot of like extra bonus benefits that come with it, right? I mean, you look at a gymnast's body, they're sculpted, right?
Oh, yeah.
They have a lot of healthy habits that come with being a gymnast. So if you were to share, say, 3 habits that anyone can kind of take on, what would it be?
Probably ice baths.
Okay.
Ice bath is probably one of my biggest ones.
So cold plunging, ice baths, like cold therapy.
Yep.
What do you get from it? What do you know from it?
It's just like it rushes you with so much energy when you get out. I found it great for recovering the body. And the fact that I knew it was good for me, but I didn't always want to get in.
Right.
Made me want to do it more.
Right. The discipline and the mental control.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I agree with that totally.
Before my ice bath completely froze over and I couldn't break the ice, I got in it every single morning. And this is actually my second season doing it. I only do it during the winter because that's kind of the only time the water is cold enough.
Yeah.
I did it for 100 days last season.
In a row?
I got up, in a row. And I got up to 70 this season before I couldn't break the ice.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Exactly.
I could second that and back that up all day, that if you don't have an ice bath, you could do a cold shower. I do cold showers almost every day.
Yeah.
And it's called the Scottish shower if you start hot and then you end cold, which is kind of what I do. Bathe in the hot and then end in the cold, and you turn that thing all the way as cold as it goes in the middle of the winter. Isn't the easiest thing to do. And you're standing there in that hot water and you're like, am I going to do this today? It's like, yes, I am. And then you kind of like move around in the shower and get it all over you. It's a similar effect to doing a cold plunge.
Yep.
Probably not the exact same, but it's a very similar effect. And doing that mentally makes you stronger as well.
Oh, it does.
There's so many benefits to it. We won't go into it. We're not scientists, but yeah, great. Is there any more like healthy habits that you learned along your way that make you successful?
Meditation.
Meditation. Love this.
And that goes back to the quote I said earlier, mind over matter.
Yep.
If your mind's not on point, then the body's not going to be on point either.
Yep.
Like,
totally agree.
I had a coach that said, if you could picture yourself doing the skill, like 100% perfectly in your mind, you can probably execute that to like 80%.
Right. And there's so many stories and studies that's been done on athletes and artists where they just did visual training in their day-to-day life, and they actually seen cognitive increase in their actual sport.
Exactly.
Okay, give it 5 minutes. We gotta go, guys. So last couple of questions. Okay, so yeah, meditation. Go. You got a third one real quick?
Yeah, last one's nutrition.
Nutrition,
and
huge.
I would say that one over the other two.
Okay.
And like nutrition is honestly crucial.
Yep.
If you don't have the proper nutrition, your body's not going to recover properly, and your mind's not going to function properly.
True.
Like you won't be able to do your sport if you're out, like if you're injured, and your mind won't be able. You won't be able to do anything with your mind, like concentrate on your skills.
Totally.
Even like the meditation won't really work if your mind doesn't have the proper nutrition.
Especially high processed foods, like high sugars. It makes your mind run like a rat race.
Yeah.
So it's really hard to stay calm.
Some of the younger gymnasts here, I see them eat chips, chocolate bars almost daily, and it kills me. Like
True.
Like you're setting yourself back.
That's so true.
Like the easiest way to be like 1% ahead of anyone in your sport, any sport, is nutrition. Totally. It affects everything. Yeah.
Same thing with sleep. All right, we have to go, guys. We're going to have to do an episode 2 for sure. But before we go, I'm going to rapid fire with these questions. Are you ready?
Yep.
Okay. One word answers are just really quick. Okay, what's your favorite outfit for training?
Shorts and tight shirt.
Favorite pre-training snack?
Banana.
Pump-up song. What's your favorite pump-up song?
On and On by Cartoon JJ.
Okay, we rock with it. Conditioning equipment. Favorite piece?
Wall bar.
Wall bars. Okay. Conditioning exercise. What's your favorite exercise?
Leg lifts.
Leg lifts. Favorite skill to train?
Kachev.
What do you love most about gymnastics?
The community.
If you're not training, what would we catch you doing?
Rock climbing.
Rock climbing. If you had a superpower, what would it be?
Flying.
Favorite book?
Superstars.
Cool. Movie or TV show?
Movie.
Which movie is your favorite movie? Do you know?
Boys in the Boat, based on true story.
Boys in the Boat. All right. Meal or beverage? What's your favorite one?
Meal.
What's something fun what meal do you like?
Ground turkey with a whole load of vegetables.
Let's go. Talk about nutrition. Lots of protein in there. Random fun fact about yourself.
I was a big snowboarder.
Big snowboarder?
Yeah.
Cool. Gymnastics definitely helps that.
Oh,
Who would be another good guest to bring on this podcast? Who should we interview?
I think I would say Gleb.
Good idea.
Trampolinist at Campia.
Awesome. Let's do it.
Yep.
So thanks for joining. I'm going to give you a gift. You can buy any piece of merch you want on my website. I'll pay for it for you.
Okay,
cool. Just as
nice.
a thank you. We're going to do that for every guest. If you want to follow Gabe, I'm sure you're on social medias and stuff like that.
Yep.
Gabe Flynn, easy. We'll link him in here as well. We'll do episode recap later. If you guys want to help donate and support this, we'd love it, so we can maybe fly to see some guests, or maybe get some guests on, or whatever, new equipment or whatever it is. We don't have to use our phones. We'll see. So if you want to support, we'll leave a link for that too. We'd appreciate it. Other than that, we'll see you in the next one. Really appreciate it. Awesome story.
Thanks
Let's go do some
again, Evan.
gymnastics.
Yes.